Okay guys, we're gonna put together a radiant hydronic heated floor. I'll give you guys a little step-by-step on how I do this. This video is literally just going to be me putting in the plumbing, not actually hooking up the heater or anything, but I'll show you guys how I build the floor. Hey guys, so behind me here, you'll see that I've installed radiant hydronic heated floor lines. What I did was I took 1x2 slats, and the 1x2 is actually 3/4 of an inch thick, which is the exact same thickness as the PEX piping. Now this PEX that I have here, this orange stuff, this is got an oxygen barrier inside of it, so that's the specific PEX tubing that you want to use for this job. So why did I go for hydronic heating instead of, you know, all the other different options that you can go for? Well, I live in Canada. As most of you know, it gets pretty cold here. And this isn't just a camping van for me. I'm actually planning on living in this full time. So I want to make sure that the heating and the climate control is set up properly. And, you know, as excited as I have been to get this build going, I've spent a lot of time on this floor. But it's important to have the floor done properly. So, you know, do it right the first time, right? So with hydronic heating, it's a dry heat. Van floors can be very cold, especially in a Canadian winter. So if you can heat everything in your van from the floor up, it's ideal. It's not just a luxury. I'm not looking at it like, you know, I want to have warm, you know, heated floors so I can have warm feet. It's not like that. It's the entire heating solution for the van. So I'll have the hydronic heating. It can take a little bit of time to get this up to temperature. So of course I'll still have a forced air fan to get it up to temperature faster. And then this will just be the radiant solution to keep it nice and toasty all the time. Now, once you've got this system in place and running, it's very efficient. It's a very efficient system. There's a couple different options you can go for. You can go for propane heating. You can go for gasoline or diesel heating. My plan is to go for the gasoline heating Rixon system. So Rixon builds a system that will plug right into this. It's got an auxiliary pump for heated floor. So that's cool. So diesel is slightly more efficient than the gasoline, but this way I can pump right from my factory fuel tank, and I don't need to install another tank. So that's cool. So I won't need to have a separate diesel tank or something crazy like that. Not that it's that crazy, but simplicity is kind of nice. So I got these aluminum heat exchangers. So these aluminum plates that you see on top here, these are heat exchangers. These are what take the heat from the bottom of the pipe, of the tubing, the PEX tubing, and brings it right up to the top, so you're not wasting any of your coolant, your hot coolant. So that's cool. So I'll give you guys a little, I'll show you guys exactly what I've done here. Give you a little bit of a closer look. So here we are out in the van. These are my first actual cuts that I've been making, and I just laid a couple of the pieces of the rigid foam down to check out how it looks. You can see when I get really close, I did a bit of a hack job there, but you know, it's coming out pretty well. You a good boy, Niblet? Hey? Niblet came to say good morning to me this morning. Probably up all night dreaming of rabbits, weren't you? This little guy loves chasing rabbits. We get a lot of rabbits and deer. He's a pretty big fan. You like rabbits, bud? Hey, Niblet? Hey, bud. Hey, look at the camera, man. It's your time to shine. There you go. Ooh, nice pose. Looking good, bud. Oh, now where's my son of a bitch knife?
It's in that bag.
Out this rigid foam board insulation for the floor has been so I'm just placing one of my final cuts here for the rigid foam insulation board. It has been quite a tedious, painstaking job. You want to make sure you're doing this properly. This is the foundation of your build. So see if this fits. Oh yeah, right on. And that is looking pretty darn good. So I'm very happy with that fit. It's bang on. Cool. It's about time. It's taken me 4 days to do this. So I have plywood that is 1/8 of an inch thick, and I have plywood that's 1/4 of an inch thick. I'm gonna see which plywood is gonna be the right one to use for the recessed ribs. I'll show you guys the spots where these ones are coming out and this one is going in. So I need to fill this with 1/4 or 1/8 of an inch plywood. Good morning, Niblet. Morning, bud. You ready for another day? Good boy. Good boy. Another beautiful morning. All the pieces have been cut and glued. I used 3M Super 77 to glue to the floor. So this is the base of the subfloor. I'm getting all 4 sheets of plywood laid out, making a nice workstation. I took the factory floor liner, I laid it over the plywood, and then I just used pencil to trace around it. So these sheets of plywood are oak. I understand that the properties of oak works great for condensation, which I suspect we should have some. It's a van. Taken 150 feet of string and I've ran it back and forth serpentine to try and get an idea. Whoa, just about fell off the step. get an idea of how to best place these pipes. Now, before I laid any of the plywood, remember that I did lay the 3M 400 Thinsulate over top of the rigid insulation boards. So here I'm building the frame. You want to frame out the plywood before you lay your PEX piping for the hydronic heat, as the frame will give you a rigid support to work with, and you can make sure that none of your boards move so everything stays precise. I pre-drilled pilot holes and I put 2.5-inch screws to support the framing that went completely around the subfloor. You'll notice that I am applying glue in between all of the joints. So the reason that I took this binder twine and I measured it out to 150 feet is I don't have a tape measure that's that long. So I wanted to have a piece of binder twine that was 150 feet. It represented how long of the PEX piping would be, and it gave me an idea of the type of path that I could run with that much piping. We are in a very rural farming community, so anytime I need to go to a big hardware store, quite often we find ourselves driving an hour and a half away just to get certain supplies. So here you see me just returning with some supplies. Here you see the 1/2-inch PEX piping. It was only available in 250 feet at my local hardware store. I will only be running 150 feet. Time to open up the PEX. Let the fight begin. When using the PEX with the oxygen barrier, you want to make sure it's not out in the direct sunlight as much as possible. That can deteriorate this pipe. So I started out the day today finishing off the frame, just putting the final screws and glue to it. So that's done, and started with the hydronic radiant heated floor piping. This is PEX with an oxygen barrier. They say that you're supposed to use the PEX piping with an oxygen barrier, so that's the orange one. I've got 1/2-inch PEX, and I'm using 2x1s inside the floor. You'll see that they are wait, I'm gonna turn the camera upside down.